Peace of mind, that's the secret of a happy retirement. It's also why a lot of people choose to live in managed properties, places where they can pay someone else to keep up with the paintwork and look after the garden. But if the management falls short, it can cost you a lot more than you bargained for.
It's part of the retirement dream, finding a cosy home in which to invest your hard-earned savings. But as hard cash is discovered in the wrong hands, that dream could become a nightmare. Nearly 20 years ago, work began to transform Minster Court in Liverpool into a block of privately managed showcase flats. And when disability forced her to give up work, Janet Range retired there, attracted by literature, promising clean, well-kept surroundings and 24-hour security, provided by
a professional property management service
called Regent, based at Yeadon, near Leeds. But professional service wasn't what Janet got from Regent.
Since I moved in, it's gone from bad to worse. Peeling paintwork, rotting window frames, shabby doors, damp patches on balconies, and now the final straw, the withdrawal of daytime security. It's just grim.
And other residents are just as unhappy with Regent.
Now, look at this. My intercom isn't working, hasn't been working for the last 18 months. We can't leave the doors open because it's a security risk, and if anybody visits us, we don't know.
The communal areas are an absolute disgrace. There's peeling paint, they're absolutely filthy, they don't get cleaned properly, the handrails are rusty and broken. You're ashamed to bring anybody to visit you.
The residents at Minster Court aren't alone. Elsewhere, other people have been made promises about the management of their property, only to be disappointed.
A cost-effective service.
Very appealing, but it turned out not to be the case for residents here at this Grade 2 listed building on Liverpool's waterfront.
We actively consult with lessees.
A comforting thought, but that wasn't the experience for the people who live here in this close in Bolton. And we've found 12 more developments where Regent management has a bad record. This is Waterloo Dock, renovated by Barrett's for the well-heeled of Liverpool. An apartment here doesn't come cheap, neither does the maintenance, carried out by Regent management. When Lorraine McCarroll and her husband moved in, they knew it would be expensive, but they didn't count on getting unexplained additional charges. Lorraine has just been sent a bill for £230, their share of a £63,000 deficit that Regent says the residents must pay.
We thought we could come here and have a nice quiet time, but since the day we moved in, basically, we've been battling with the management company because we don't get the services for which we pay.
Somebody is responsible for this deficit. Somebody is responsible for gross mismanagement of these monies, and I want some answers.
To get those answers, they summoned this man to their home, Ian Wallace, a director of Regent. We secretly filmed the meeting. They wanted to know where this £63,000 shortfall had come from.
We're looking at deficits here and deficits there, and to be honest with you, I mean, you know, there's quite a lot of...
Let me get on with the deficit in a minute, please.
So they waited.
Can I... The developer, but on this, I'm going to talk about the deficit in a minute.
Yep.
Still waiting.
That we had hoped to turn it round and recover more from the developer.
There's nothing in the lease that says we have to make up any sorts of deficit. Why do you think we should?
I'll check that out.
Okay.
At the Hawthorns in Bolton, they've decided enough is enough. Barry Brooks used all his savings to buy a flat here. House prices in the area have dipped, but he's worried Regent's poor upkeep has depressed his property's value even further.
I thought we were in a reasonable area and a reasonable chance of the properties increasing in value along with other properties, but as you can see, lack of maintenance. When people come round to view, they just turn around and go away.
We arranged for an estate agent to assess Barry's property to find out just how much its value had fallen and if poor maintenance had been a significant factor.
I understand you paid about 40,000 for it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, I'm sorry to say that today you'd be lucky to get 25,000 for it. In my view, there is a direct correlation between the poor maintenance of a property and its fall in value. If a management company doesn't carry out its functions properly, then this will definitely lead to falls in value, without a shadow of a doubt.
Regent's bad record drove Barry and his neighbours to seek official help. They brought their complaints here to a leasehold valuation tribunal, and they won. In fact, 3 times the tribunal has ruled against Regent for unreasonable service charge, poor standard of service and poor accounting practices. And the Bolton residents have even managed to remove Regent as managers, something at least 6 other blocks are now trying to do.
Problems as well.
So what about Minster Court? Couldn't they also take Regent to a tribunal? We arranged for John Mills, an expert in leasehold law, to look at their prospects.
And just look at these windows here. They've not been painted, and now they're completely rotten. Look at the timber's worn away. You can obviously just pull that timber away with your fingers.
But there's bad news for the residents here, because they have a more complex lease agreement with Regent.
They're one of the worst companies I've come across in 20 years of looking at residential blocks of flats. And the bad news is that the residents Minster Court can't actually get rid of them at the moment, under current law. There's some new rides coming, but until that time, all they can do is put some pressure on Regent to perform as well as possible.
How do we put pressure on them? They won't call an annual general meeting. They won't turn up at meetings. There seems to be nothing that we can do.
Regent management say,
At Minster Court, the window frames are the responsibility of each tenant under the terms of the lease. Common areas are under discussion. The cost of 24-hour security is prohibitive, and non-payment by tenants has led to difficulty in funding services. Tenants have regularly been asked to nominate directors to the management company board, but instead resorted to unsuccessful and costly litigation. At Waterloo Dock, they're in discussion with the Residents' Association and refute the allegation that there's been inadequate information. At the Hawthorns, a tribunal found disrepair only with the window frames, which showed signs of ageing, some rotting, and all needed repainting. It knows of no other criticism concerning outstanding maintenance.
I think they're absolutely appalling. They have a responsibility, I can say a moral responsibility. They don't appear to have any morals where we are concerned.